come, we all speak. We've been doing that in so many other forums. Is there a forum like Toastmasters where they could stop, tell you what went wrong and how better you could be at it? Well, here is the opportunity to get better at yourselves. To evaluate the prepared speakers for today, please help me welcome the first speaker's evaluator, Ashok's evaluator, DTM Sateesh Kumar.
Good morning once again, Miraculous.
Good morning.
It is what we know already that often prevents us from learning. Thank you so much, Ashok, for making us realize that we need to reinvent ourselves about the learnings and bringing this 2-year cycle. Let me start with the 3 things which I like the most in your speech. Number 1, the way how you started the speech and connecting with it, even it is a content filled with a lot of learning and technicalities. The opening of the speech was so cool. It was easy to connect. The parents register or even this wordplay of right age versus the right age. You know, you opened up easily so that we could sink into the speech, first speech of the day. That was a brilliant opening on your speech. The second one, the organization of a speech related to the title, title of pit stop, not a full stop, and how you related with your grandfather, your father and yourself. I went back to my memory, my grandfather was not even gone to school. You made the connection easy. So as generations goes, you could easily connect it, and appropriately you made the point of full stop where he didn't even try it, and 5 years and 2 years. That's a brilliant one. The third one is, you did a lot of research, I would call it, you are preparing for your next speech as well, on how this whole program is going, and knowing you personally, I relate it a lot, Ashok, because you made this research and brought those topics of 5-10 years, the MBAs are gone and how the others can do, and the phenomenal final touch was to relate it without saying anything about what is Toastmasters doing for us. Let's come to the areas where I see you could have improved. Number 1, I see the moment you saw the yellow, I could sense a kind of hurriness in you. I don't know, it's about another 90 seconds. You could have easily took us through that. So that made us to come to a point that you are rushing so much and you are running onto it. That is number 1. Number 2, the body of the speech, though you had this 3 bifurcation of full stop, pit stop, 5-year, 2-year, after this, I would say about after 4.5 minutes, you are running so much fast that you are running so fast that I couldn't relate it all those topics of, it was only just flashing those articles, flashing those events. The last element of this IIM, so what I can give a relation to this improvement here is to pick up 1 or 2 on those areas where you want us to know more, go in detail, give some relation to it, finally you could relate it to it, maybe this could last longer for us. Overall, thank you so much on indicating that learning is so important, that too very fast. I'm with you, Ashok, and I'm making myself, stepping up every other day. Overall, it's a great speech. Keep working on these 2 improvements. Over to you, team.
Thank you, Sateesh. A round of applause to the evaluator. Now it's time to call our second evaluator to evaluate our second speaker, Chelakanan. Please let me welcome Toastmaster Anirudh. Good luck to you.
All the best speeches are simple, relatable, and most important, personal. All of us have parents, all of us went to school, we worked at a place, but Toastmaster Chelakanan, you chose a beautiful topic of Toastmasters itself as an example where you were a prodigy, where I could relate so much to it. And not only did I relate, I learned a lot. I learned which Toastmasters I should be learning from. Kudos to you for choosing that topic today. Your speech was wonderfully constructed. You had 3 clear segments where you spoke about in 2014 a different club where you were introduced to Toastmasters, how the meeting structure was, then when your daughter came up in 2019 and the current experience of Meraki Toastmasters and how your journey is still ongoing. I found it very clear, very relatable and very well presented. I also think that it was important that you met the objectives, and I can safely say that you met all the objectives in today's speech that you presented to the audience. One trait of yours which makes it very easy for the audience to listen to your speech is also the pace. Your vocal variety and the pace ensures that the audience does not get lost. They are able to fully follow through your speech, and I found your speech to be very well done today. Now here, moving on to the points of improvements, I have 3 suggestions for you. The first one being the element of surprise. You had brought about Toastmasters in the first section of your story. That is a good setup. Any good speech has an opening, body and a conclusion. But for the speech to be interesting in terms of content, you might have to hide a few surprises and then reveal them through the story. So, when you had already spoken about your experience of Toastmasters, and when your daughter comes again, if you build a slightly longer narrative, how maybe she was not interested in speaking, somehow finally it was a spark in your mind where Toastmasters came, that will add the element of surprise. When it came to the third story, by the time the audience, when I was sitting in the audience, I felt that I knew what you were going to speak. So, which means I start, even though your vocal variety and your space is very good, I started tuning out of the speech because it was something that I already knew. So, in any speech that adding value in 7 minutes, I recommend adding same story. If you just hide it and reveal it, it will be a lot more interesting. The second improvement, you chose an excellent topic of lighthouse. Over here, lighthouse is a very powerful visual figure and can be used as a metaphor throughout your speech.
Yeah.
Almost always when one speaks of it's a white lighthouse, it's about how you are struggling in the sea and all those things. But here you can relate to the example, even when you came back to the shore, when you were walking through the roads, when you were walking in Marina, still like you were actually walking in Marina with your daughter and you saw the lighthouse, then when it struck you how the lighthouse brought you. Tying back to the main topic will make it a little more interesting to whatever. The third and the most important feedback that I want to give is, anything that is over in supply loses value. A good relatable example is how are Xiaomi phones priced and how are Apple phones priced. The perceived value of these things increase in terms of scarcity. In that, I would say it's your hand gestures. I would say if you minimize the hand gestures, if you can keep them more reserved. I know you are not adding value to some sentences, but only when you don't add value to some sentences, the other sentences become more powerful when you use hand gestures. With these suggestions, I think if you take them and you apply it in your next speech, I think all of us will have an even more wonderful time. Thank you and all the best to your Toastmasters.
Thank you. A round of applause from the evaluator. Thank you. So that brings us to the wrap of today's meeting segments. We had a very good prepared speech, wonderful table topics, and a value-add evaluation segment. So before we wrap today's session, the concluding TMOD speech is right here. So there are a lot of conspiracy theories, and in your free time, I would just love if you all can just go Google about it or probably read it in the books available. A few to name that we didn't have time to cover today is, of course, how did Hitler die? Do you really believe that he could have, committed a suicide, someone like Hitler? What really happened? Does he even have a body double? Were body doubles even famous at that time, or was it even possible? Yeah. You take any big leader, any big political leader, the assassination, the death would always have some kind of a conspiracy theory linked to it. Oh, how about this flat earth theory? 2017, there was a conference that happened for flat earthers, as they call themselves. They still believe earth is flat and not a globe. Did people really land on the moon? That is still a question here. Did they even fake it? Or why would they do it? Are they competing with the Russians to be the number one? It is still a question. Oh, what is this Area 51 in the US? Is it still a home ground to the aliens? Well, aliens is a totally new chapter of conspiracy theory altogether. How about Lal Bahadur Shastri's death? Why isn't there no probe on how the death happened, right? He was serving at that time, and why there is no concrete information on what happened on his death.
He was an official tour.
Yes, he was an official tour. So many of these theories have now come up in the form of documentaries or in the form of movies and are available now on Amazon and Netflix. And if you're someone like me who's got all the time in the mornings to watch one or two of them, I would love to see and hear your comments when you do so in your leisure time. Sure. With that, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to be the TMOD and to be back in Meraki after a very long time. Thank you for being wonderful audience and back to the present.
Thank you so much. Overwhelmed I did.
I know. Sir, you're the presiding officer, no?
Correct.
Thank you. I was wondering, did I pass it on correctly or not?
Ballot, prepare speaker.
Yeah.
There is only qualified speaker Ashok.
Oh.
And table topics Anirudh, Ashok, Viji, Chellakannan, Sateesh, Anirudh 2. Then
Part 2.
part 2. So you have to specifically mention.
And both evaluators are qualified.
Both evaluators are qualified. Anirudh being 329 Anirudh.
Oh, yes.
Lovely. Okay, can you give me the balance? I will do the countings. Let me share some flow.
Anirudh, if it is the evaluation, right, you would have lost somebody in the marks. If it is the evaluation contest, somebody was missing. He completed, maybe because of the time, I believe.
Huh?
Because of the time, I believe.
No, because this 3 improvement is a
3 is
suicidal
too much,
thumb
no?
rule.
Yeah.
Suicidal thumb
3
rule
is
because
too much.
you hit the completion of positive hit by 48 seconds, Anirudh. 48 seconds you are done with positive.
That's good. That's good.
No,
You can
48
take,
you have finished
you
the...
can take most time for recommendation. 3 is too much actually.
Anirudh.
2 where you could have explained thoroughly, I think that could have.
And you said third one is very important.
Third one is very important.
That has to be number one.
Okay. 3
Yeah.
to 1 and the
Because the audience already, 1, 2 already did. Third one
Third
important.
one,
but it was valid actually. Whatever.
All are valid.
Yeah.
Even hand movement, a lot of times I
Yeah,
feel. Maybe because a lot of responsibility today.
Correct. Multitasking.
You know, multitasking vandale we might.
Not prepared for that. Taking
Correct,
that.
correct.
That is the major part. I didn't expect Priya to be an hour today. Okay. So Meraki is